You know, when you visit the Sunshine State, you expect to see theme parks and major tourist attractions. But get away from the crowds, you will be surprised what you discover along one particular river: monkeys. Hundreds of them, maybe even thousands, roaming the state of Florida. Why are they there and how do you find them? For those questions and many more, we tagged along with a guy who searches for those monkeys every day.
I want you to know that you may have been to Disney World, you may have been to SeaWorld, but now welcome to the real world.
There is probably nobody that knows this world better, the Silver River in sunny Florida, than Captain Tom.
And there's hardly any time in the year that you have to worry about insects.
And not much worries Captain Tom along this pristine river. Not the large alligators sleeping quietly along its banks, or the hundreds of turtles baking in the sun. Not even an occasional manatee swimming alongside the boat rattles his cage. After all, he's been traveling this waterway for over 30 years.
I see them about 75–80% of the trips. I usually can spot them.
What Captain Tom and others see are these monkeys, hundreds of them roaming freely along the banks of the Silver River. It's been a long time.
Mr. Randy, really good to see you. Doing real good, bud. Real good to see you.
We're going to see any monkeys today?
Seen them yesterday, who knows?
I have known Captain Tom for a long time, and if there is anyone that can take me to these elusive creatures and explain to me the truth as to how these monkeys got here, it's him. Captain Tom says there's a reason many people can't find them.
They're totally nomadic. They roam up and down, so every day they're in a different place. Fact is, you might see them in a place, and 2 hours later you wouldn't see them.
What we're looking for is a colony of rhesus monkeys, a species native to places like India, Thailand, and China, but obviously very adaptive if they're living here in Florida. Most of them are less than 2 feet tall and weigh under 20 pounds. Some of the males are much larger, and their coloring makes them hard to spot.
Their color is real similar to the brown of the expired palm fronds that you see out here. So if they're sitting still up against a tree, they're almost invisible. But again, it's just a matter of looking through the trees and honing in on any kind of little movement or some color that just doesn't seem right, and investigating when you get a clue.
No one is exactly sure how many monkeys are roaming the area.
The population estimates range from over 1,000 to as low as less than 200.
As a reporter for many years, I have followed the story of these rhesus monkeys on the move. There are reports of them as far north as Jacksonville and as far south as Tampa.
Individual monkeys have been trapped as far as, I believe, Winter Park, Winter Garden, and down into Sarasota, but not an overabundance or anything that actually might tilt the ecosystem out of whack.
Speaking of ecosystem, the Silver River is an amazing body of flowing water, fed by natural underwater springs. The water is so clear here you would swear you were in the Caribbean. This provides a rich food supply for all creatures living here. I now understand why the monkeys love and depend on this river.
I call it surging, purging, and emerging, because the river's flowing all the time, the seasons are changing, the weather is changing. It's always striking no matter what face of the nature you're seeing.
So far, we've been going up the Silver River for 2 hours and no monkeys. It can be tricky. These monkeys can be anywhere, up in the trees, down on the ground, away from the river. But the key to finding these monkeys is not giving up. Finding any kind of wildlife is difficult, but monkeys are especially hard because they're always on the move, and I'm beginning to wonder if we'll see any on this trip.
The more you want to see them, the harder it is to find them.
Coming up on The Wild Side.
Monkeys!
A break in the search for the elusive Silver River monkeys.
Most everybody wants to see the wild monkeys in their natural habitat.
And Captain Tom puts out a stern warning to kayakers getting too close to the wild monkeys.
I've seen them get in the boat and put the people in the water.
And we'll find out how these monkeys got loose in the first place.
Who worked with the Tarzan films, and he brought in 3 couples of monkeys and put them on this little island.
I have been traveling up and down the Silver River in Florida in search of the elusive rhesus monkeys. Hundreds, possibly thousands, roam the banks of this pristine waterway.
They're totally nomadic. They roam up and down, so every day they're in a different place.
My guide to finding the monkeys is Captain Tom. He's been tracking the creatures for over 30 years. Captain Tom knows all the ins and outs of this river, but even with the best guide, they can be tricky to locate.
They can be practically invisible if they don't move.
The rhesus monkeys are brown and gray with bright pink faces, so they blend in well with the trees and plant life along the river. These wild primates have been spotted as far north as Jacksonville and as far south as Sarasota. And we've been moving up and down the Silver River most of the day without even a single monkey sighting.
The more you want to see them, the harder it is to find them.
But finally, we get a break.
We're still traveling up the Silver River, and we've gotten word from some kayakers and boaters that they've spotted some monkeys up ahead, so let's go see.
We spot kayakers and they are taking pictures, a sure sign of monkeys. And then the primates come into our view. Captain Tom estimates there are between 20 to 40 of them.
We got a group of monkeys that commonly known as a troop. We got mostly adult females with some young. I believe we spotted a couple that had like a year-old and a very young one. I did see one major male back in the background, but he's being kind of cagey, not showing himself.
Captain Tom says there are a few rules people need to follow when approaching these wild monkeys.
There's three things. First of all, give them a legitimate space, 15 feet at the minimum distance from them. Second of all, don't look them straight in the eye, because in primate language or in wildlife language, that's a confrontation for space. Don't show your teeth, because most wildlife, when it shows their teeth, they're basically threatening you.
And as word gets out along the river, more and more kayakers show up. Captain Tom shares advice to one couple getting too close to a monkey.
Watch behind you, young lady, watch behind you. I've seen them get in the boat and put the people in the water.
These primates are not aggressive in any way. The problem is people feeding them.
And it's best not to show food. They are attracted to food. They've been fed out here for decades, but the official park policy is do not feed the wildlife.
What I could not stop thinking about is, how did monkeys get to Florida?
And this is where all this monkey business began, on this island right here. Story goes that back in the 1930s, 1940s, a guy got an idea to put some monkeys on an island.
That guy was Colonel Captain Toohey. Captain Tom sat me down to tell me the real story as to how these primates got here. There was word in Ocala that Hollywood was coming to the area to shoot a Tarzan film. Silver Springs already had jungle cruises running down the river. Toohey thought tourists would like to see wild monkeys on those cruises, so he ordered some and had them placed on this very spot known as the Devil's Elbow. However, a short time later, Toohey probably heard a splash. The monkeys knew how to swim. They were gone. And Toohey may be long gone, but his monkeys still remain.
And they've been a treasured part of the ecosystem in and around the river for all those decades.
To think these monkeys got here because of one man's miscalculation is amazing. And as I head back down the river, I can't help to think about Colonel Toohey's vision of an authentic jungle cruise along the Silver River sort of came true, because you really can see monkeys here in Florida if you know where to look. Some experts estimate that these primates make up the largest and only free-ranging population of rhesus monkeys in the United States. Now, if you'd like to go visit them in person, the guide that can get you there is Captain Tom. He takes visitors to see the monkeys every week of the year.